Imagine sitting down for like your ultimate cosmic final exam.
Oh boy.
Right? You slide your spiritual scorecard across the desk to the proctor. It is this pristine record of your
The
existence.
perfect resume.
Exactly. You've got, a lifetime of charity, your unwavering faith, your quiet endurance of suffering, and this long list of people you've helped or even saved.
Yeah, you are definitely expecting an A+.
Totally expecting a passing grade. And the proctor just looks at it, slides it back, and says, none of this counts.
Wow.
Yeah, it all counts for absolute zero.
It just completely upends the entire concept of the test, doesn't it? I
Yep.
mean, everything human beings are taught to prioritize is suddenly, well, irrelevant.
That feeling of complete disorientation is exactly what we are unpacking in this deep dive. Today, we're exploring a translated text from February 2024 titled The Road to Heaven.
Written by an author known as Deiform Buddha, right?
Yes, exactly. And our mission today is to really unpack this text's radically alternative framework for what actually qualifies a human life for heaven.
And we should probably establish right up front that this is a profound departure from, like, almost every conventional religious, moral, or philosophical framework we typically encounter.
Absolutely. And as a quick note for you listening, we are exploring a deeply specific, very unique spiritual philosophy today. We aren't endorsing these viewpoints.
Right, no sides being taken here.
Definitely not taking sides on any of the theology presented. We are simply acting as your impartial guides, taking you through the mechanics of the ideas contained purely within this original text.
The value here is really in the intellectual exercise, because the ideas challenge you to reevaluate the very foundation of morality as, as human society understands it.
Let's start with that discarded scorecard, because to understand what this text wants from us, we first have to look at how aggressively it dismantles our earthly metrics.
It really tears them down.
It does. The text provides this exhaustive list of what does not matter for getting into heaven. And, the secular things are easy to grasp. It tells us social status, power, wealth, reputation, and physical appearance mean nothing.
Right, and even your baseline education or wisdom doesn't count. Most people would agree with that, honestly.
Yeah, you can't buy your way into heaven.
Exactly, you can't rely on your worldly resume. But the text doesn't stop there. It pivots and explicitly targets the exact things that traditional spiritual frameworks insist actually do matter.
This is the part that genuinely shocked me. It states that getting into heaven has absolutely nothing to do with building churches or temples.
Yeah, the physical monuments mean nothing.
It doesn't matter how many times you kowtowed or how many incense sticks you burned. It ignores your religion, your political party, and the merit you think you've accumulated.
And the one that really stopped me, it says getting into heaven has nothing to do with how many lives you have saved.
Wait, really? Nothing at all?
Nothing. It strips away all the deities, too. It states it doesn't matter which god, Buddha, or saint you follow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it even declares that going to heaven has nothing to do with whether you believe in it or whether you are devout. Faith is rendered entirely mathematically irrelevant.
So it's like showing up to an intense exam with this perfectly highlighted study guide, only to find out the test isn't on the subject you studied at all.
That is the perfect analogy.
But if faith is off the table, if good deeds are off the table, and if literally saving someone's life is off the table, what is the actual currency of this heaven? How do you measure a worthy life without any of these traditional metrics?
Well, the fundamental shift this text demands is moving from a paradigm of doing to a paradigm of being.
Okay, unpack that a little.
So in almost every worldly framework, entrance to a higher realm is transactional. You perform good actions, you receive a cosmic reward.
Right, the classic karma idea.
Exactly. But this author argues that heaven doesn't care about your actions in human society. Entrance is based entirely on a baseline state of existence.
So it's not about the verb, it's about the noun.
That is a brilliant way to frame it, yeah.
Huh.
The text reveals that there is only one standard for entering heaven.
Just one.
Just one. It states that your quality of life, and the author capitalizes the word life to distinguish it from just, like, biological existence.
Right.
So your quality of life must perfectly match the quality of life in heaven.
And it defines that required quality of life as just two things, right? Unselfishness and selflessness.
Yep, that is the single lock and the single key. Think of it as a frequency.
The frequency, okay.
Right, if your spiritual frequency matches the frequency of heaven, which is pure selflessness, you simply become the kind of life form that naturally exists in heaven.
The text pushes this idea to an incredible extreme, honestly. It says if you meet this single standard, literally nothing else about your physical existence matters.
Right, none of the human details matter.
The duration of your life.
And
Meaningless. You could die at 3 years old, 30 years old, or 300 years old.
the earthly test has no time requirement. Once the frequency is matched, the biological duration is totally irrelevant.
And the manner of your death doesn't matter either. I mean, the text specifically lists starvation, burning, a collision, illness, being murdered, being entrapped, or just natural causes.
Yeah, none of the trauma of the exit matters.
But I have to admit, I'm really struggling with this definition of selflessness.
Really. Where does it break down for you?
Well, if I walk past a burning building and I run inside to save someone, human society calls that the ultimate selfless act.
Oh, absolutely.
But the text just told us that saving lives doesn't count. How can someone achieve pure selflessness without the physical act of helping or saving others? That feels, I don't know, incredibly cold.
I get that.
How does the author justify ignoring suffering like that?
So this is the crux of the text's mechanical philosophy. We define selflessness socially, like through our impact on others.
Right.
The text defines selflessness structurally, through internal purity. It requires what the author calls perfecting the non-material structure of your life.
Perfecting the non-material structure. Okay, what does that actually mean in practice?
Think of your physical body as the hardware, and your non-material structure as the software code of your soul.
I like that.
So every time you form an attachment or take credit for a good deed, you're writing a bug into that code.
Oh, wow. So if I run into that burning building?
Right. If you run in because you want to be a hero or because you believe it will get you into heaven or even because you feel a sense of moral duty, you are performing an action fueled by a subtle form of ego.
I see. You're doing it because of how it makes you feel or what you believe is right.
Exactly. And that creates a spiritual debt.
Yeah.
In this framework, the moment you view yourself as a savior, your ego inflates.
And that anchors you.
Yes, you anchor your non-material structure to the human realm because you've created an expectation of cosmic credit. The text says you must make formless alms.
Formless alms, meaning you have to exist and give without the shape of your own ego attached to it.
Precisely.
Which leads us to what is arguably the most counterintuitive argument in the entire source, honestly, the complete reframing of altruism.
Oh yeah, the text issues a very strict directive here. It explicitly orders the reader not to think certain thoughts.
Which is wild to read.
It is. It says, do not think, I want to liberate all beings. Do not think, I am helping others. And do not think, all this is for your good.
This just completely upends how we are conditioned to view morality. I mean, we are raised to believe that wanting to alleviate suffering is the highest calling.
It's the basis of almost every charity on earth.
Right. But the text's rationale is fascinating. It says, no beings need your saving, and no beings need your help.
Because you are only liberating yourself, and liberating yourself is liberating all beings.
The reason you cannot think I am helping you is because it demands absolute detachment from managing the outcomes of others.
The author points out something profoundly humbling here. You don't actually know what is good or bad for someone else.
Yes, the exact quote is, what you think is good may be bad. What you think is bad may be good.
Think about the implications of that for a second. You might intervene in someone's life thinking you are saving them from suffering.
When really?
From a cosmic perspective, you might be robbing them of a necessary karmic experience. You might be creating a new, worse complication for them down the line.
Oh, man. So to intervene is to act out of profound ego.
Exactly. Assuming you possess the universal wisdom to direct another person's destiny.
So it's a bit like the classic airplane safety rule, put your own oxygen mask on first before assisting others.
You're close, but the oxygen mask rule implies that you will eventually turn around and assist others.
Ah, true.
This text argues you shouldn't even attempt to manage the person next to you. A better way to visualize this philosophy is looking into a mirror.
Okay, a mirror. Walk me through that.
If you look in a mirror and see a smudge on your face in the reflection, you can't fix it by rubbing the glass.
Right. Obviously not.
Touching the world is like touching the glass. The only way to fix the reflection is to step back and clean your actual face.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, you can't fix the world by managing others. You can only fix yourself by achieving pure unselfishness.
Because the desire to save others is still a desire. And if it's a desire, it's an attachment.
And attachments are the bugs in the non-material structure.
Wow. But If achieving this state requires abandoning all desire, even the desire to do good, it sounds statistically impossible for most of humanity living in a normal society.
It is incredibly difficult.
The text actually explores this, right? It says that in a secular environment constructed around money, power, and class, finding a selfless and egoless person is almost impossible.
The modern world is literally built on attachments. I mean, it requires you to prefer one outcome over another. It requires you to acquire, to protect, and to manage.
So if society makes this frequency of selflessness impossible, where are you actually supposed to go? Does the author offer a practical solution, or is this just a philosophical impossible standard?
The author actually anticipates this exact problem. They propose a physical, tangible alternative called the second home.
The second home.
Yes, this isn't a metaphor. The text states it is a real environment created by a community and philosophy called Lifechanyuan.
So Lifechanyuan is the specific philosophical community presenting this framework. And they present this second home as like the optimal laboratory to practice and cultivate this state of unselfishness right now.
Exactly. The text clarifies that the second home is not heaven itself, but it is as close as you can get on earth.
Okay, but how do you know if it's working?
The text even provides a diagnostic tool to test this.
Yeah.
It says if you can't physically perceive heaven through this second home, you can perceive it by evaluating the people you interact with.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, if the people around you consistently bring you happiness, joy, freedom, and bliss, then you are experiencing the frequency of heaven.
But there is a detail in the text's list of worldly obstacles that we really need to address here. It lists money, power, and class as barriers to selflessness. We intuitively get that.
Right, standard earthly pitfalls.
But it also explicitly lists family and country right alongside them. Is the text arguing that our deepest human bonds, like the people we love the most, are actually the debts keeping us anchored to Earth?
If we look closely at the mechanics of the non-material structure, the answer is a definitive yes.
Man, that's heavy.
From the perspective of this text, systemic earthly structures, even the most beautiful, loving ones like family, are the ultimate worldly ties.
Because to be a parent, a sibling, or a spouse is to be inherently biased.
Exactly.
Your primary directive becomes the protection and elevation of your specific family unit.
You cannot be universally selfless if you draw a circle around a few people and say, these are mine and I prefer their survival and happiness over strangers.
Wow. That makes sense mechanically, even if it's hard to swallow emotionally.
Totally. That bond, while entirely necessary and beautiful in a biological human context, anchors your non-material structure to the human realm.
And patriotism to a country functions the exact same way.
The exact same way. They're attachments. And if you are entangled in worldly ties, your frequency simply does not match heaven.
Okay, but if the bar is genuinely this high, if you have to shed your ego, stop trying to save people, rewrite the code of your non-material structure, and let go of all worldly ties, including your own family.
Yeah.
I mean, almost everyone is going to fail. Does the author just condemn the rest of humanity to hell? What is the backup plan for the 99.9% of us who can't achieve this?
This is where the text delivers its most surprising departure from traditional spiritual narratives, I think.
Really? How so?
Usually, failing to reach the highest spiritual goal results in some form of damnation, eternal suffering, or fire and brimstone.
Right, the classic punishment model.
But this text lacks any of that anger or judgment. The advice is remarkably blunt. It says, if you cannot achieve unselfishness, do not harbor the improper thought of going to heaven.
So just don't even stress about it. Just drop the expectation completely.
Exactly. It says instead, you should simply accept the cycle of reincarnation in the middle and lower realms of life. And the key is to do this without making distinctions. Do not obsess over what is true and false, good and evil, beauty and ugliness, or kind and bad.
The cycle of reincarnation it describes is very explicit too. It says, you live this life as a human, the next life as a dog, the next life as a pig.
And then the next life as a human again, reincarnating endlessly.
And it describes this earthly cycle through a deeply sensory lens. It says you will experience the sweetness, the bitterness, the sourness, and the spiciness of life.
Which is such a vivid way to put it.
It acknowledges the full spectrum of being alive. The joys, the sorrows, alongside the inevitability of birth, aging, sickness, and death.
It notes that you will come and go in confusion, completely unaware of the affairs of your past lives.
And after describing this endless, confusing, sometimes painful cycle of being a human, a dog, a pig, getting sick and dying, the author delivers an incredibly profound conclusion.
They really do.
The text says, which is also a good
Which
choice.
is also a good choice. That just
Mm.
completely reframes everything.
It does. Usually, spiritual texts treat Earth as a prison for failures or like a school where you are punished until you learn a lesson.
Right, a place to escape from.
But this text treats Earth more like a chaotic, incredibly sensory theme park. It's almost saying, look, if you don't want to follow the incredibly strict safety rules required to get on the heaven ride, don't worry about it.
Just go get some food.
Yeah? Go enjoy the sweet and spicy food at the earthly concession stand. Go ride the roller coaster of being human, then try being a dog for a while, then try being a pig. Enjoy the chaos.
That analogy captures the entirely neutral, mechanical view of the universe this text presents so well. Heaven is not a VIP club for the morally superior.
And Earth isn't a cosmic jail.
Exactly. They are simply different frequencies of existence. If your non-material structure doesn't resonate at the frequency of absolute selflessness, you aren't being punished by an angry deity. You just biologically and spiritually belong to a different ecosystem.
You match the frequency of the middle and lower realms?
Right. You belong in the realm of sweet and spicy, of birth and death, of attachments and confusion. And the author views that as a perfectly acceptable, valid way for a life form to exist.
So there is zero judgment in failing the exam.
Because there was no exam in the first place. There was only physics and frequency.
Wow. So let's recap the journey we've taken today. We started by looking at a traditional spiritual scorecard filled with charity, good deeds, and devotion.
But the text, The Road to Heaven, completely shredded that scorecard.
It really did. We explored a framework where heaven isn't a reward for being a good person. It is a specific, pure frequency of selflessness that requires perfecting your non-material structure.
A frequency that demands shedding every single worldly tie, abandoning the ego-driven desire to save or fix others, and accepting that true liberation comes from within, not from managing the world around you.
It asks you to stop wiping the smudge on the mirror and start cleaning your own reflection.
Beautifully said.
But it also offers a strangely comforting alternative, you know? If that level of detachment is too tall an order, enjoying the chaotic, sweet, and spicy cycle of earthly reincarnation is a perfectly fine choice, too.
It is a radical challenge to how we perceive our place in the universe. And I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over, building directly on the text's assertion that we cannot truly know what is good or bad for someone else.
Ooh, okay.
Think about your own daily life. Think about the people you love. If tomorrow you completely stopped trying to manage, advise, or fix the lives of the people around you based on your own definitions of what is good for them, would your relationships fall apart? Or would you finally experience the kind of unburdened bliss and freedom this text describes?
Man, that's a powerful question. Are you actually helping, or are you just trying to guarantee a passing grade on an exam that doesn't even exist? Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.